Welcome to Shadowlands Ghosts, a place where the ordinary and the unknown coexist. I'm your host, Raven Blackwood, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey into the heart of the paranormal. As we sit here, surrounded by the familiar comforts of our everyday lives, it's easy to forget that there are forces beyond our understanding, lurking just beyond the edge of perception. But what happens when the familiar becomes unsettling and the unknown starts to seep into our reality? I'd like to introduce you to a story that will challenge your perceptions and leave you questioning what's real and what's just a product of your imagination. It's a story about an invisible ghost that knocks on the door every night, a relentless and unexplained presence that refuses to be ignored. As we delve into this tale, you'll be hearing it from the perspective of the lead character, drawing you into their world and making you a part of their desperate search for answers. To be a part of this journey, to experience the thrill and the terror that comes with exploring the unknown, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. By joining our family, you'll get access to a world of spine-tingling stories, each one carefully crafted to push the boundaries of your imagination and leave you sleeping with the lights on. So, come and join us as we step into the Shadowlands and discover the horrors that await us in the darkness. Subscribe now, and let's embark on this journey together into the heart of the unknown. I still remember the night it started, the night that would change everything. It was a typical evening, with the sun setting over the small town of Willow Creek, casting a warm orange glow over the streets and homes. My family and I had just finished dinner, and I was settling in for a quiet night at home, ready to tackle the mountain of homework that lay before me. My parents were watching TV in the living room, the sound of laughter and conversation drifting from the screen, while my little sister, Emily, was playing with her dolls in her room. I was alone in my room, surrounded by the familiar comforts of my bed, desk, and bookshelf, feeling safe and secure in my own little world. As I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my textbook, I began to feel a sense of unease, a creeping feeling that something was off. At first, I dismissed it as mere paranoia, but as the minutes ticked by, the sensation grew stronger. It started with a faint creaking sound, like the old wooden floorboards of our house were shifting and settling. I tried to focus on my studies, but my mind kept wandering back to the noise, wondering what could be causing it. My parents seemed oblivious to it, too caught up in their TV show to notice anything out of the ordinary. As the night wore on, the creaking grew louder, and I started to feel a presence in the house, a presence that didn't feel quite right. It was as if someone was watching me, waiting for me to acknowledge them. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but the sense of being watched only intensified. And then, just as I was starting to relax, I heard it. A knock at the door. Not just any knock, but a soft, gentle knock like someone was trying not to be heard. My heart skipped a beat as I froze, my eyes fixed on the door, wondering who could be visiting at such a late hour. My parents didn't seem to notice the knock, too engrossed in their show to hear it. But I knew what I heard, and I knew it wasn't just the wind or a stray animal. It was a knock, a deliberate and intentional knock, like someone was trying to get my attention. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that I was not alone in the house, that there was something else present, something that didn't want to be seen. And as I sat there, frozen in fear, the knocking started again, this time louder and more insistent. It was then that I knew my life was about to change forever, that I was about to embark on a journey into the unknown, a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about the world and myself. As I sat in my room, trying to process the strange occurrences, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. The knocking had stopped, but the silence that followed was even more unsettling. I tried to focus on my homework, but my mind kept wandering back to the event of the night. The creaking of the floorboards, the presence in the house, and the knock at the door all seemed to be connected, but I couldn't quite put my finger on how. As the night wore on, I started to feel a sense of unease, a feeling that I was being watched. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, but the sensation only grew stronger. I began to feel like I was trapped in a nightmare, with no escape from the terror that was unfolding around me. I decided to try and distract myself by listening to music, but as I put on my headphones, I realized that the sound was different. The music seemed to be warped and distorted, like it was being played on a broken record. I tried to adjust the volume, but it didn't seem to make a difference. The distortion only grew worse until I could barely make out the melody. Suddenly, I heard a faint whispering in my ear. It was soft and raspy, and it seemed to be saying something, but I couldn't quite make out the words. I spun around, but there was no one there. The whispering stopped, and the music returned to normal. I was left feeling shaken and confused, wondering if I had really heard the whispering or if it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. As I sat there trying to calm myself down, I noticed something strange. The window in my room was open, just a crack. I was certain that I had closed it before I started my homework. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that someone or something must have opened it. But who or what could have done it? I got up to close the window, and as I approached it, I felt a cold breeze on the back of my neck. I spun around, but there was no one there. The breeze seemed to be coming from outside, but it was a warm summer evening, and there shouldn't have been any wind. I felt a sense of dread as I realized that I was not alone in the house, and that something was trying to communicate with me. As I closed the window, I heard a faint scratching sound coming from the wall. It was a low, deliberate scratch, like someone was trying to send a message. I felt a surge of fear as I realized that the scratching was coming from the room next to mine, Emily's room. I tried to call out to her, but my voice was frozen in my throat. The scratching grew louder, and I knew I had to do something. I slowly got up and made my way to Emily's room, my heart pounding in my chest. As I approached the door, the scratching stopped. I stood there, frozen in fear, wondering what I would find on the other side of the door. And then I heard my name. Emily, a soft voice whispered. But it wasn't Emily's voice. It was a voice I didn't recognize, a voice that sent shivers down my spine. I slowly turned the handle and pushed the door open. The room was dark, except for a faint, flickering light coming from the corner. I stepped inside, my eyes scanning the room for any sign of Emily. But she was nowhere to be found. Instead, I saw something that made my blood run cold. On the wall, in big, bold letters, was a message. "I'm waiting for you," it read. And below it, in smaller letters, "Don't try to find me." I stumbled backward, my mind reeling with fear. Who was waiting for me? And what did they want? I knew I had to get out of there, to find my parents and tell them what was happening. But as I turned to leave, I heard the whispering again. "You can't escape," it said. And then everything went black. As I stood there, frozen in terror, the darkness seemed to closing in around me. The message on the wall, "I'm waiting for you," echoed in my mind, and I felt a sense of impending doom. I tried to step back, to escape the room and find help, but my feet felt heavy, as if rooted to the spot. The whispering in my ear, "You can't escape," seemed to be coming from all around me, and I felt a sense of claustrophobia wash over me. I was trapped, and I knew it. The voice, soft and raspy, seemed to be taunting me, playing on my deepest fears. Suddenly, the flickering light in the corner of the room grew brighter, illuminating the space with an eerie glow. I saw that the room was in disarray, furniture overturned, and clothes scattered everywhere. It was as if a struggle had taken place, and I wondered if Emily had been taken, or if she was still in the house, hiding from something. The scratching sound, which had stopped when I entered the room, started again, this time louder and more insistent. It was as if something was trying to get my attention, to tell me something. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I realized that I was not alone in the house, and that something was trying to communicate with me. As I looked around the room, I saw that the message on the wall was not the only one. There were other messages scrawled on the walls, on the furniture, and even on the ceiling. They were all the same: "I'm waiting for you, and don't try to find me." It was as if someone or something was trying to convey a message that I was too afraid to understand. The whispering in my ear grew louder, more urgent, and I felt myself being pulled towards the wall, towards the message. I tried to resist, but it was too late. As I reached out to touch the wall, the whispering stopped, and the room fell silent. In that moment, I realized that I was in grave danger. The house, which had once been a place of safety and comfort, had become a trap, a prison from which I might not escape. The presence, which had been lurking in the shadows, had finally revealed itself, and I knew that I had to get out, to find help before it was too late. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The door, which I had left open, was now closed, and I heard the sound of a lock clicking into place. I was trapped, and I knew it. The presence, which had been waiting for me, had finally made its move, and I was at its mercy. In that moment, I knew that I was facing something truly evil, something that would stop at nothing to claim me. The horror, which had been building up inside me, finally spilled out, and I screamed until my voice was hoarse and my lungs were empty. As I stood there, frozen in terror, I realized that I was not alone in the house. The presence, which had been lurking in the shadows, was now standing right behind me, its cold breath on the back of my neck. I felt a sense of icy fear as I realized that I was about to face my worst nightmare, and that I might not survive the night. The darkness closed in around me, and I felt myself being pulled into a world of horror, a world from which I might never escape. The last thing I remembered was the sound of my own screams, echoing through the empty halls of the house, as the presence closed in, its grasp tightening around me like a vice. And then everything went black. As I stood there, frozen in terror, the darkness seemed to be suffocating me. The air was thick with an eerie, unsettling energy that made my skin crawl. I could feel the presence behind me, its cold breath sending shivers down my spine. The whispering in my ear had stopped, but I could sense its malevolent intent, its desire to claim me as its own. Suddenly, the room was bathed in an intense, blinding light. I raised my hands to shield my eyes, but it was too late. The light had already seared itself into my retina, leaving me momentarily blinded. When my vision returned, I saw that the room had changed. The furniture was still overturned, the clothes were still scattered everywhere, but something was different. The presence was now standing right in front of me, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I tried to scream, but my voice was caught in my throat. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. The presence began to move closer, its eyes fixed on me with an unblinking stare. As it drew nearer, I saw that it was not human. Its body was twisted and distorted, like something from a nightmare. Its skin was gray and decaying, with long, bony fingers that seemed to be reaching out to snatch me. I felt a sense of utter terror as I realized that I was face to face with something truly evil. The presence began to speak, its voice low and raspy. "I've been waiting for you," it said, its words dripping with malice. "You should not have come here." I tried to respond, but my voice was still caught in my throat. I was unable to move or speak, unable to escape the horror that was unfolding before me. The presence raised its hand, and I felt a surge of energy wash over me. I was lifted off the ground, suspended in midair by some unseen force. I was helpless, unable to resist as the presence began to pull me towards it. I felt myself being drawn into its twisted, nightmarish world, a world from which I might never escape. As I was pulled closer, I saw that the presence was not alone. There were others, lurking in the shadows, watching me with cold, calculating eyes. I realized that I was not just facing one monster, but an entire legion of them. They were all waiting for me, their twisted faces twisted into cruel grins. The presence began to laugh, a low, menacing sound that seemed to come from the very depths of hell. I felt myself being pulled closer, closer to the abyss, closer to the horror that awaited me. And then everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, my head throbbing with pain. The room was silent, the presence was gone, but I knew that I had not escaped. The horror had left its mark on me, a mark that would stay with me forever. I stumbled to my feet, my heart still racing with fear. I knew that I had to get out of the house, to escape the horror that lurked within its walls. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The message on the wall, "I'm waiting for you," was still there, but it was no longer alone. There was another message scrawled beneath it in red letters. "You'll never escape." I knew then that I was doomed, trapped in a living nightmare from which I might never awaken. The horror had me in its grasp, and it would never let me go. As I stumbled out of the house, the messages on the wall seared into my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The darkness seemed to be following me, its presence lingering just out of sight. I quickened my pace, my heart racing with fear, but no matter how fast I walked, I couldn't escape the sense of being pursued. The streets were empty and silent, the only sound being the echo of my footsteps off the buildings. I felt like I was the only person left in the world, and that the horror was waiting for me just around the corner. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was nothing there. Or so I thought. As I turned back, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. A figure tall and imposing, standing just behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The figure had vanished into thin air. I knew then that I was losing my mind, that the horror had already begun to consume me. I continued to walk, my senses on high alert, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But as the hours passed, nothing happened. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the ground. I felt a sense of relief wash over me, thinking that maybe, just maybe, I had escaped. But as I looked down at my hands, I saw that they were covered in a fine, gray dust. The same dust that had been on the presence's skin. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that I had been marked, that the horror had left its imprint on me. I knew then that I would never be able to escape, that the horror would always be with me. I was trapped in a living nightmare, and I didn't know if I would ever wake up. The darkness closed in around me, and I was consumed by an eternal, suffocating fear. The last thing I remembered was the sound of my own voice, whispering a single phrase over and over again. "I'm waiting for you." The horror had become a part of me, and I had become a part of it. We were now inextricably linked, bound together by a shared madness. And when they found me, I was catatonic, my eyes wide open, staring into the void. The messages on the wall were still there, but they had changed. "I'm waiting for you" was now "I've got you." The horror had finally claimed me, and I was never seen or heard from again. The house was left to stand, a monument to the terror that lurked within its walls, waiting for the next victim to stumble into its clutches. The darkness had won, and I was just another soul trapped in its abyss, forever screaming in silence. The horror had become my reality, and I had become its plaything. The nightmare had just begun, and it would never end. Epilogue. Years have passed since I was taken by the horror. The house still stands, a haunting monument to the terror that lurks within its walls. People whisper about the strange occurrences and unexplained events that have happened to those who dared to venture near. They say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind is just right, you can still hear my voice, whispering the same phrase over and over again. "I'm waiting for you." But the truth is far more sinister. I am not just a victim. I am now a part of the horror itself. My mind is trapped in a never-ending cycle of fear and madness, forever reliving the moments that led to my downfall. And I am not alone. There are others like me, souls who have been consumed by the darkness and now serve as vessels for its evil presence. The messages on the wall have changed again, this time to "We're waiting for you." The horror has grown, its influence spreading like a cancer, infecting all who dare to enter its domain. And I am its messenger, its harbinger of doom. The darkness has won, and it will never let go. It has become a living, breathing entity, feeding on the fear and terror of those who cross its path. And I am its loyal servant, forever bound to its will. As the years go by, the legend of the house grows, and more people are drawn to its darkness. They come seeking thrills and chills, but they never leave. The horror claims them, one by one, adding to its collection of souls. And I am still here, waiting, watching, and whispering my haunting phrase to anyone who will listen. The nightmare has never ended. It has only just begun. The horror is real, and it will never let go. In the dead of night, when the world is quiet, you can still hear my voice echoing through the empty streets. "I'm waiting for you." It's a warning, a promise, and a threat. The horror is always waiting, patiently biding its time, waiting for its next victim to stumble into its clutches. And when it does, I'll be there, whispering my haunting phrase, drawing them deeper into the abyss. The darkness has won, and it will never let go. The horror will continue to grow, to spread, and to consume. And I will be its eternal servant, forever trapped in this living nightmare. The last sound you'll hear is my voice whispering those two haunting words, "I've got you." And then the darkness will close in, and you'll be gone, forever trapped in its abyss, screaming in silence. The horror will have won, and it will never let go. Thank you for watching this terrifying tale of horror and suspense. I hope you enjoyed the journey into the heart of darkness, despite the fear and unease that it may have evoked. As we conclude this story, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of this experience. Your engagement and support mean the world to me, and I'm honored to have had the opportunity to share this haunting narrative with you. As you reflect on the horrors that you've witnessed, I encourage you to consider the power of storytelling and its ability to evoke emotions, spark imagination, and challenge our perceptions. The world of horror is a complex and multifaceted one, full of hidden terrors and unseen dangers. But it's also a world that can inspire us, provoke us, and push us to confront our deepest fears. If you're ready to embark on more thrilling adventures, to explore the unknown, and to face your fears head-on, then I invite you to subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you'll gain access to a wealth of exclusive content, including terrifying tales, spine-tingling stories, and thought-provoking discussions. You'll become part of a community that's passionate about horror, suspense, and the supernatural, and you'll be able to connect with like-minded individuals who share your interests. So don't hesitate. Subscribe to our channel now and join the journey into the heart of darkness. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready to immerse yourself in a world of terror, suspense, and intrigue. Together, we'll explore the unknown, confront our fears, and uncover the secrets that lie within the shadows. As a special thank you to our new subscribers, we'll be offering exclusive content, including behind-the-scenes insights, author interviews, and sneak peeks into upcoming stories. You'll also be entered into our monthly giveaway, where you can win horror-themed merchandise, books, and other exciting prizes. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our channel now and become a part of the horror community. Join us on this journey into the unknown, and let's face our fears together. Click the subscribe button and let the terror begin. And as a final reminder, if you ever find yourself standing in front of that haunted house, whispering those haunting words, "I'm waiting for you," just remember, the horror is always waiting, patiently biding its time, waiting for its next victim to stumble into its clutches. The darkness has won, and it will never let go. But with our channel, you'll be prepared, armed with the knowledge and the courage to face whatever terrors come your way. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's keep the terror alive. Subscribe to the channel now, and let's embark on this journey into the heart of darkness together.